Most people stop when they see no results in a few months. They think the system isn't working, but really, they just haven't given compounding enough time to reveal its power. I learned that lesson the hard way. When I first began investing seriously, I didn't see much progress. The numbers were small, or growth invisible. But instead of quitting, I reminded myself, the first rule of compounding is never to interrupt it unnecessarily. So I stayed patient. I focused on learning, on refining judgment, on understanding why something worked rather than chasing what worked last week. Every small improvement became a seed. A better decision here, a wiser partnership there. A book that sharpened my thinking, all of it compounded. One day you look back and realize you've built an empire of decisions, each one resting quietly on the last. I remember buying my first meaningful stake in a company. Everyone round me called it boring, but boring businesses often make extraordinary fortunes, because they produce steady returns that allow compounding to perform its quiet magic. While others chased excitement, I chased endurance. Endurance builds wealth. Excitement destroys it. I also discovered something few people understand. You can compound character the same way you compound capital. Each time you keep your word, each time you resist a greedy impulse, each time you choose long-term integrity over short-term pleasure, you're adding invisible interest to your reputation. That reputation becomes capital. Doors open, trust grows, opportunities multiply. At some point, you stop needing to chase success because success starts finding you. That's the moment when compounding shifts from mathematics to momentum. And that's when ordinary people begin to look lucky. But luck favors discipline. Every night, I still ask myself one question. Did I learn anything today that will still matter 10 years from now? If the answer was no, the day was wasted. I read obsessively not to collect facts, but to collect filters. Filters that could separate signal from noise, truth from illusion. Because in life, the ability to filter nonsense is worth more than raw intelligence. Intelligence will get you started. Filters will keep you from crashing. The world rewards those who can sit still when everyone else is panicking. In markets, in relationships, in life, it's all the same pattern. People overreact, then they regret it. I made my fortune by doing the opposite. I waited, I watched, and I acted only when the odds were heavily in my favor. The funny thing about patience is that it compounds too. The longer you practice it, the easier it becomes to stay calm when others lose their minds. That calmness gives you clarity, and clarity is priceless. I often tell people, you don't need to be brilliant. You just need to avoid being stupid. Avoid debt you can't pay. Avoid envy of those ahead of you. Avoid the arrogance of thinking you can't be wrong. Simple rules, repeated daily, outperform grand strategies followed occasionally. I wasn't chasing one big win, I was stacking small advantages. 10% smarter decisions, 10% fewer mistakes, 10% more patience. Stack those percentages long enough and you'll be shocked at where you end up. That's the compound mind, the quiet force that turns average beginnings into exceptional outcomes. It doesn't shout, it doesn't rush, it just grows. And now, as I look back, I can see the curve of my life like the curve of a compound chart, flat for a long time, then rising sharply when most would have already given up. That's the part nobody tells you about. You have to endure the flat years to run the exponential ones. If you understand that, you already hold the blueprint. Think deeply, act slowly, stay the course when everyone else is changing direction. That's how ordinary people reach extraordinary heights. And if you're serious about building that kind of patience, stay close. Because the next part of my story will show you how to build not just wealth, but a life system that keeps multiplying long after you stop working. When I was younger, I thought the purpose of wealth was freedom. But over time, I realized freedom isn't just about money. It's about control over your time, your thoughts, and your emotions. Money just happens to be the tool that buys that control. The truth is, most people never learn to control themselves. They earn more and spend more. They win once and think they're invincible. They lose once and believe the world is ending. I watched brilliant minds destroy their fortunes simply because they couldn't master their own impulses. I decided early, if I could learn to manage my mind, the money would manage itself. So I built systems around my weaknesses. When I felt greedy, I waited a day before acting. When I felt afraid, I asked for data before emotion. When I didn't understand something, I said, I don't know. Those 3 habits saved me millions. Discipline isn't a cage, it's armor. It protects you from your own worst instincts. And once you build it, compounding does the rest. I also learned to surround myself with people who made me better. Warren taught me that you should only work with those you admire, because you will become them in ways you don't even notice. Character is contagious, and if you're not careful, so is stupidity. Every friendship, every partnership is either a deposit or a withdrawal from your mental bank. Choose wisely, and your circle becomes a compounding asset too. There's another thing I tell young people. Stop measuring progress in money alone. Measure it in the quality of your decisions, the strength of your habits, the peace in your mind. If you win those games, the financial gain takes care of itself. I never chased a luxurious life. I chased a rational one. Luxury fades, rationality multiplies. When you make peace with that idea, you stop comparing and start building. Building takes time. Sometimes years go by before the results show up. But patience turns effort into leverage. If you can delay gratification longer than others, you'll end up owning what they spend their lives renting. Even now, I live by one rule. Do the work once, and let it pay you forever. That's what true wealth feels like, momentum that doesn't depend on constant effort. You can build that momentum through habits so consistent they become automatic. Read every day. Think independently. Avoid things that break easily, including your own temper. And never forget, the best investment you'll ever make is in becoming the person who can handle success without losing sanity. I've met countless people who achieved everything they wanted, only to realize they weren't equipped to enjoy it. They built wealth, but not wisdom. I tried to build both, because the point of reaching $1 million isn't to buy things, it's to buy options. Options to work less, options to think more, options to live by principle instead of pressure. That's the hidden strategy, the blueprint nobody writes about. It's not in spreadsheets or secret formulas. It's in how you think, how you wait, how you react. Wealth doesn't test your intelligence. It tests your patience and your emotional stability. So, if you're still watching, here's my advice. Start where you are. Read more than you post. Think more than you talk. Save more than you spend. And never interrupt your compounding mind with impulsive decisions. This isn't a sprint. It's a lifelong conversation between you and time. And time only respects those who respect it first. That's how I build my million. That's how anyone can. Keep your head clear, your circle strong, and your goals long-term. And if you've made it this far, I want you to remember one thing. The blueprint isn't mine anymore. It's yours. Use it well. Build quietly. Let time make the noise. When people ask me how it feels to be wealthy, I tell them wealth was never the goal. Understanding was. Wealth was simply the side effect of learning how the world truly works. I didn't become rich by predicting the future. I became rich by avoiding stupidity in the present. That's a far more reliable strategy. Avoid debt that keeps you awake at night. Avoid people who drain your energy. Avoid situations where greed feels normal. And, most importantly, avoid the illusion that you must move fast to win. Speed kills judgment. Judgment builds fortune. In my final use of active business, I began seeing a strange pattern. Young investors with fancy tools, chasing trades like gamblers at a casino, believing that technology could replace temperament. But temperament is the oldest edge in the world and the one that never disappears. You can't download it. You have to earn it, failure by failure, lesson by lesson. I failed plenty. I lost deals, missed chances, misread people. But each failure taught me the same lesson. The game is never about avoiding pain. It's about extracting wisdom from it. Pain is tuition. You just have to make sure the education is worth the cost. With every mistake, I became less reactive and more rational. Less emotional, more analytical. Eventually, that mindset started guiding every decision: investments, relationships, even health. Rationality isn't limited to finance. It's a philosophy of living. I often say, take a simple idea and take it seriously. That's all investing is. That's all life is. Simple ideas, executed consistently. Outlive brilliant ideas, executed occasionally. I build my life on compounding principles. Trust builds on trust. Reputation builds on honesty. Knowledge builds on curiosity. And wealth builds on patience. If you can align those four compounds in your favor, you live a life that feels effortless because time itself starts working for you. In the end, money doesn't change you. It amplifies who you already are. If you're generous, you'll give more. If you're greedy, you'll hoard more. If you're disciplined, you'll multiply everything you touch. So build character before you build capital, because capital will always follow character. I used to think success meant being admired. Now I know it means being useful. The real satisfaction comes from creating something that outlives you: ideas, habits, examples. The things that keep paying dividends even after you're gone. So here's my final piece of advice. Don't aim to be rich. Aim to be wise, patient, and reliable. Rich will follow, and when it does, remember this: the purpose of wealth is not consumption. It's contribution. Use it to build, to teach, to give, to help others compound their own potential. That's the only form of wealth that never decays. You have everything you need to begin. You have time, curiosity, and the ability to think. Start today. Read something that challenges you. Question a belief you've held for too long. And above all, act with reason when the world screams with emotion. That's the blueprint I followed from 0 to 1,000,000. Not luck, not magic, just discipline, patience, and a refusal to quit when progress was invisible. I'm Charlie Munger, and if my story taught you something today, then my work continues through you. Think better, act slower, compound wisely, and never forget, the best investment you can ever make is in your own ability to think independently. If you believe in that idea, subscribe to this channel and keep learning with me. Because wisdom compounds faster when we grow together.